Let's continue our journey. Of course, day two of Emerge America's 2016, and what an amazing couple of days so far. We still have so much more to go, and I have the pleasure of now bringing on to this show, to my left, Jaret Davis, a co-managing shareholder, of course, of the Miami office of Greenberg Traurig, chair-elect of the Beacon Council, and a co-founder and general counsel to Emerge Americas. And Jaret, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Pete. Always happy to be here.
Well, again, Emerge Americas, you were there at the very beginning, and why don't you share a little bit about your own personal journey, Greenberg Traulig's involvement here, so that we can really understand how important it is to you.
Sure. Well, this conference is really the culmination of a vision. I mean, it was Manny Medina's vision primarily, but we've been there since the beginning. This sort of started where it was a trip on Manny's jet, myself and him and Matt Hagman, and it was after we had closed the Terramark deal where Manny sold this past company to Terramark for $2 billion. And we had discussed how, there's so many wonderful things going on in the ecosystem, but that we weren't sure the rest of the country knew about it. And we said there has to be some way where we can gather everyone together and let the world know. So that gave birth to the conference, and really what I've always considered the two goals of the conference. One is the world's ultimate commercial, basically, for Miami. And I say that facetiously, but in a way it's true. It's a way of taking all the wonderful things that are going on in this ecosystem and making sure the world knows, so they can come attracted here, sources of capital, other entrepreneurs, innovators can come here and share their ideas. The other one, however, one is process, one is substantive. The other issue is we already have all these wonderful things. If we gather them all together, as always, you'll have what I call positive collisions. When you have bright people, innovators, exciting people filled with energy, and they're all combining, they're coming together and having conversations, etc., that's where magic occurs. And so our logic was there'd be a catalytic effect. So not only would you have all the wonderful things that have been happening historically, you would then have an explosion of activity, and that's exactly what's been going on. If you look at Miami now versus Miami 3 years ago when we started this journey, it's a very different city. And I guarantee you in 3 more years and 5 more years, it's going to be a very different city again. And yes, I do think Emerge is going to have a significant role in building all that.
I had Larry Williams a little bit earlier, and we had a conversation. And the beauty of all these conversations and discussions we're having the last couple of days is the things that we're talking about. For instance, I look at this community here as, up until 3 years ago, let's say, kind of like the best kept secret regarding entrepreneurship. And because of Emerge, it's like this Pandora's box has opened up, and all of this talent, all of this creativity and innovation that has been here for a long time now has come to the forefront because of Emerge.
That's right. And it's funny, there's a quote that was said a while back, and one of these days I need to track back who said it, but it's the enemy of innovation is isolation. And I so believe that. Because when you feel isolated, entrepreneurs are a very different creature. And when they feel isolated, when they feel alone, when they feel like no one else gets their energy and gets their vision, they leave. So you're absolutely right. We have cracked open the world's greatest secret, that Miami is an entrepreneurial mecca. If you look at the Kauffman Foundation, the nonprofit who's charged with tracking entrepreneurial activity, Miami has been ranked in the top 5 cities consistently for several years back, most recently at number 2. So this has been a fact for a long time. And if you look at our history, I think it goes into why we're such an entrepreneurial haven. But you're absolutely right. We're now publicizing it. We're now getting it out. And as a consequence, we are bringing more and more people in, which helps us retain the entrepreneurial talent that's here and bring in more from the outside.
It really does. And the thing is that we're a mecca for small business. The whole Tri-County area has, I don't know what the number is now, 25,000, 30,000 small businesses in the Tri-County area. And those are the ones that we know about. I mean, there's a lot of also ones that are out there, home-based businesses that, for whatever reason, haven't come out, have gotten an occupational license. But we know that this is a mecca. This is not large corporate America down here. And the beauty of all this is now we can take all of this activity, all of these great minds, and the opening of the door to Latin America and the world to come together and here and relocate here or open up a branch of your business here to get into this whole energy and spirit of entrepreneurship. It's just, for me, it's fascinating because it's whatever we're talking about today could be obsolete in a few months.
That's right. That's right. And you know, it's interesting. I always say that Miami passes what I call the cocktail party test. And what is the cocktail party test? The cocktail party test is if I go up to you and I introduce myself as, hi, I'm Jaret Davis. I had 4 companies before, and now I'm on my 5th one. How would they receive that? If you go to Silicon Valley, if you go to Tel Aviv and Israel, if you go to certain other economies that do very well with entrepreneurship, their reaction will be, that's fantastic. Other jurisdictions may say, wait a minute, you've had 5 different companies, what's going on here? Miami is one of those, like a Tel Aviv, like a Silicon Valley, where they greet you and say, that's fantastic, you're on business number 5, tell us about it. What lessons did you learn from the past 4 businesses?
Yes.
That's the key. That is the key to the catalyst. That's where entrepreneurship thrives.
Well, the thing about it is, and that's a great point, is that, you know, we hear about the failure rate of new entrepreneurs and startups. And many of them just get discouraged and decide to get a job again. But again, you hear so many success stories, and they're all backed up with challenges and obstacles. And the stories are motivating because, God, if they got through that and they're here today, I can do it myself. So sharing that story is so important to the ones that have the startups and the ones that are coming are in line to open up their business. And because, again, we open up a business because we have a dream, we have a passion about something. But many times, and unfortunately, it's lost because, you know, they encounter roadblocks and obstacles.
This is why one of the things I'm most grateful to May Medina for, as well as George Perez, as well as Mike Fernandez, and many of the success stories in this community, is how unbelievably honest they are about their trajectory. These guys all had bumps in the road, some severe bumps, in fact.
Absolutely.
And each of them is very forthcoming about those bumps. Not one of them sits there and tries to paint a rosy picture and says, oh, I was just complete genius, and from the beginning I made it. They're very clear of the struggles, of the pain, of the gut-wrenching pain that sometimes it takes to grow a business successfully. And that's where you get that inspiration you talked about, because people see, you know, gosh darn it, Manny did it, I can do it. And that's what inspires everyone. Now, the key is there are other obstacles that are less spiritual in nature, just tangible, that we can help smooth over.
Absolutely.
Access to capital, collaboration with universities if we're talking about technology, you know, things like that where we can make your life easier as the entrepreneur, removing what I call unnecessary barriers. So if we can do that, if we can build an ecosystem, and that's the entire point of Emerge also, is to try and make that an easier ecosystem for everyone to live in, what we call economic gardening, if you will. You know, some gardens don't have the soil, they don't have the nutrients. We can give you the soil, we can give you the nutrients. You still have to plant the seeds, you still have to cultivate. But if we can give you that foundation, your harvest is a lot easier.
It really is. And when you look at it, Jaret, we're because of technology. Technology, everywhere you look, it's there for us. It's a great tool for us. Sometimes it's not utilized the right way, but information is out there. The key is, how do you take that information apart? You know, what are the right sources and all of that? But even if the information is legit and relevant, what do you do with that information? You know, what do you do with that, and how do you implement it to bring your idea to life?
Well, that's why I think mentorship is one of those key components you need. If you talk to most of the people who've been successful, they had some mentor, usually several, who helped walk them through, who helped them usher in. And I think mentoring helps you navigate that terrain, because you're absolutely right. We have almost information overload. You have so much information out there, so many of these scary words of incubators, accelerators, capital raising, preferred stock. You need somebody who's been there, who can help navigate. I have several clients right now that are working on a few projects, working on some capital raises, and the first thing they'll tell me is, let me talk to my mentor. I have somebody who had 2 exits. I run everything by him. Let me see what he thinks about this.
Absolutely.
Because that helps you navigate, that helps you not commit errors that are very reasonable errors, but if you can avoid committing them, your life will be a lot easier. So I think mentorship comes in very handy. And part of Emerge is that connectivity. It's part of bringing you together, and mentors don't have to be just people who have exits. With all humility, lawyers make for great mentors. CPAs make for great mentors. Investment bankers, private equity guys. That's our job. We see it as both a civic and a professional duty. On the professional side, obviously, we're providing the formal legal services, the accounting services, etc. But on the civic side, we see so much. I always joke that my job is the best MBA on the planet, because I've seen it all, failures and successes. And so I see my job as helping to lend some of that experience and help you avoid some of those pitfalls.
You know, when we speak of mentorship, we typically think someone older who's been there, done that, and mentoring someone younger. I think today the beauty of what's going on is that the millennials, the young ones, are mentoring us
Absolutely.
at the same time.
Absolutely. They know ecosystems better than we do, left and right. They're the kids who've been through several ecosystems. What we're seeing also is a reverse brain drain in Miami, where a lot of them are coming back. Some of them left. They went on to Austin, Research Triangle, etc. They're coming back to Miami, and they're bringing their experiences back with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap up, Jared, I want to get back to what Greenberg Trauger is doing. Obviously, very successful international firm, one of the tops in the world, and we're so happy that you have such a major presence here in South Florida and Miami. In terms of giving back to the community, because I know that's huge with you and your colleagues, why do you think that that's important?
You know what? We never forget where we came from. This community built us. And this community built us. The companies that built us first and foremost were the entrepreneurial clients. And so we remember that. So first, there's an economic benefit to it, obviously, that the more you build up an ecosystem and more you cultivate these companies, they're going to grow into large companies that become clients.
Absolutely.
But also, it's just a remembrance of where we come from. This community built us, and we want to build it. You know, we are part and parcel of this community, and the better we make this community, the better the life will be for us.
It is. And I thank you for the way that you get involved in your community. Obviously, you're as a professional, you're one of the highly respected attorneys and law firms, but the fact that you're so entrenched in the community here sets a great example for all of us here. And I want to congratulate you and obviously being, part of that brainstorm team at the beginning with Emerge. We're seeing it come to fruition, and who knows what's going to happen, like you said, in 3 years, 2 years, next year. But we're going to be part of that journey, and we appreciate you, my friend, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me on, always.
Thanks, buddy. Take care of yourself.
And thank you for the service you give our community.
It's our pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.